The Galactic Empire ruled over thousands of stars. Its ships were huge and bright, covered in shining crystal that caught every light in space. The Empire had the best sensors in the galaxy. Nothing could hide from them, or so they believed. Emperor Volthor sat on his golden throne and told everyone that no one could challenge his power. He called the new human race small and weak. To him, humans were like insects, not worth much attention. Far from the bright capital worlds, in the dark edge of the Orion Arm, a single human ship moved quietly. Its name was USS Liberty. The ship looked small and plain compared to the Empire's giant vessels. Its hull was black and rough. Special materials covered every part of it. Those materials bent light, blocked radar waves, and fooled gravity sensors. The Liberty was built to disappear. Captain John Hayes stood on the bridge. He was tall, with short brown hair and calm blue eyes. He had led ships through hard battles back on Earth. Now he led this stealth warship on its most important job yet. His crew was small, only 80 people, but every one of them was trained well. "Status report," John said in a low voice. Commander Laura Bennett looked up from her screen. She had red hair tied back and always spoke clearly. "All systems green, Captain. We are holding perfect cloak. Distance to the Imperial convoy is 3 million kilometers. They have not changed course." Lieutenant William Carter sat at the engineering station. He was young, with black hair and quick fingers on his controls. "Power usage is down to minimum. The metamaterial skin is at 98% efficiency. No energy leaks." John nodded. "Good. Keep it that way. We watch. We learn. We do not fight today." For 6 months the Liberty had followed the same Imperial supply convoy. The convoy had 12 big cargo ships and 4 escort cruisers. They carried food, fuel, weapons, and rare metals from distant mines to the Empire's main shipyards. Every week the same route. Every week the same arrogant radio messages. John listened to those messages now. The Imperial captain spoke loudly on open channels. They laughed about the humans. "Did you hear?" one captain said. "The mammals from that blue planet sent another message. They want peace talks." Another voice answered with a deep laugh. "Peace? With those soft-skinned things? They have no fleet worth calling a fleet. Let them beg. We will take their worlds when we feel like it." The Liberty crew listened in silence. Ensign Elizabeth Moore, the youngest on the bridge, clenched her fists. She had family on one of the outer human colonies. She hated hearing those words. But she stayed quiet. Orders were clear. No contact, no attack, just watch. John walked slowly around the bridge. He stopped behind Elizabeth's station. "You, okay?" he asked softly. She looked up. "Yes, sir. Just, it makes me angry." "I know," John said. "It makes us all angry. But anger is a bad weapon if you use it too soon. We wait. We collect every bit of information we can. When the time comes, they will not see us coming." Elizabeth gave a small nod. She went back to her screen, checking the positions of every Imperial ship again. The convoy flew on. Its ships moved in a loose line. The cruisers stayed close to the cargo vessels. Their sensors swept space in wide circles. They looked for pirates, rebels, or any small threat. They never looked for something that did not give off heat, light, or movement. The Liberty stayed exactly in the middle of the convoy, hidden between 2 big cargo ships. It matched their speed perfectly. From the outside, there was nothing to see. No engines glowed. No radio signals escaped. The ship was a shadow among shadows. Down in the mess hall, some of the crew ate dinner. Petty Officer Daniel Brooks, a strong man with a loud laugh, sat with his friends. "You know what the Empire calls us?" he asked. "Mammals," said Specialist Maria Lopez. She rolled her eyes. "Like we're animals in a zoo." Daniel grinned. "Wait till they meet us properly. Then they'll call us something else." Maria smiled a little. Something with more teeth, I hope. Back on the bridge, time passed slowly. Hours turned into days. The Liberty kept its distance when needed, and slipped closer when the convoy made turns. Every day, the crew recorded new details: shield frequencies, weapon types, engine patterns, command codes, even the daily routines of the Imperial crews. One evening, John called a meeting in the small briefing room. The senior officers sat around the metal table. Laura, William, Elizabeth, and Chief Engineer Robert Klein were there. "We have enough data now," John said. "We know their supply routes. We know their patrol patterns. We know how long it takes their dreadnoughts to charge main weapons. We even know what the Emperor eats for breakfast. Some kind of blue fruit paste." A few people laughed quietly. "But we need one more thing," John continued. "We need to see how they react when something goes wrong. Tomorrow the convoy will pass through the Tau sector. There is an old asteroid field there. Perfect place for a small test." Laura raised an eyebrow. "What kind of test, Captain?" "A quiet one," John said. "We will drop a single microprobe. It will send a false signal, like a ship engine starting up. Just enough to make their sensors wake up. We watch how fast they respond. We watch who gives the orders. We watch everything." William leaned forward. "If they trace it back," he said. "They won't," John said. "The probe is tiny. It self-destructs after 30 seconds. And we will be 20 million kilometers away by then, cloaked and silent." Elizabeth spoke up. "Sir, what if they get scared and call for backup? A full battle group?" "Then we learn even more," John answered, "and we still stay hidden." The officers looked at each other. They trusted their captain. They had followed him through worse dangers. They nodded. The next day came. The convoy entered the asteroid field. Small rocks floated everywhere. Some were as big as houses. The Imperial cruisers slowed a little. They did not like tight spaces. John gave the order. A small tube on the Liberty opened. A probe no bigger than a football slipped out. It drifted for 10 seconds, then sent one short burst of energy, a fake engine flare. Alarms sounded on the Imperial cruisers. Red lights flashed. Captains shouted orders. Guns turned toward the signal. 2 cruisers fired warning shots into the dark. Beams of white light cut through the asteroids. Rocks exploded into dust. But the signal vanished. The probe had already destroyed itself. The Imperial ships searched for 10 minutes. They found nothing. No wreckage, no trail. The captains cursed and blamed faulty sensors. They called it a ghost echo. They moved on. On the Liberty, the crew watched every move. They recorded every word. They saw how slow the response was. They saw how the captains argued instead of acting together. They saw weakness. John stood with his arms crossed. A small smile touched his lips. "They never even looked our way," he said quietly. Laura looked at him. "They think we are nothing." John turned to his crew. "Let them keep thinking that, for now." The Liberty slipped back into position. It followed the convoy once more. Silent, patient, waiting. The Empire continued its proud march across the stars. It never noticed the small black ship in its shadow. It never noticed the humans learning every secret. It never noticed the danger that grew closer every day. That was their first mistake, and it would not be their last. The Liberty kept following the Imperial convoy for another 2 weeks. Every day was the same. Watch, listen, record. The crew grew tired of waiting, but they knew patience was their strongest weapon. Captain John Hayes reminded them often, "We strike only when the moment is perfect, not 1 second before." Then the message came. It arrived on a tight beam channel from Earth Command. The words were short and cold. An Imperial scout ship had found the human colony on New Hope, a small world at the edge of neutral space. The scouts sent a demand: surrender in 1 standard day or face destruction. The colonists answered with one word: no. John read the message on the bridge. His face stayed calm, but his hands tightened on the armrests. "How many people on New Hope?" he asked. Commander Laura Bennett checked her datapad. "About 12,000, sir. Mostly farmers and miners. Nothing that can stop a full battle group." Lieutenant William Carter looked up. "They sent the demand through open channels. The Empire wants everyone to hear it. They want to make an example." John stared at the main screen. A star map showed New Hope as a tiny blue dot. The convoy they followed would pass close to that system in 3 days. "We change course," he said. "Full silent running. Get us there ahead of them." The Liberty turned slowly. Its engines whispered so softly that even the best Imperial sensors would hear nothing. The black ship slipped away from the convoy like smoke in the wind. No one noticed it leave. 3 days later, the Liberty hung in high orbit above New Hope. It stayed cloaked, hidden in the planet's shadow. Below, the colony looked peaceful. Green fields stretched between low hills. Small towns had lights that glowed softly at night. People moved about their lives, not knowing death was coming. Then the Imperial ships arrived. First came one scout frigate. It broadcast the same demand again: surrender or die. The colonists sent back images of their children playing in the fields. A clear message: we will not bow. The scout left. 2 hours later, 5 dreadnoughts jumped in. Each one was a mountain of crystal and steel. Their hulls shone like diamonds under the starlight. Main guns pointed down at the planet. Shields hummed with power. On the Liberty Bridge, silence fell. Everyone watched the screens. Ensign Elizabeth Moore whispered, 5 dreadnoughts, for one small colony. They are afraid of us." John shook his head. "Not afraid, arrogant. They think this will scare every human world." The Imperial commander opened a channel. His voice boomed across space. "Humans of New Hope, you have one final chance. Lower your shields and prepare for boarding. Refuse, and we will burn your world from orbit." A woman's voice answered from the planet. It was calm and strong. "This is Governor Elena Ruiz. We do not kneel to bullies. If you want our world, come and take it." The channel cut off. The dreadnoughts opened fire. Bright beams lanced down through the atmosphere. They hit the defense batteries first. Explosions bloomed on the surface like red flowers. Towns shook. People ran for shelters. The Liberty crew watched in pain. They could do nothing yet. John turned to his tactical officer. "Elizabeth, lock targets. Every dreadnought, give me firing solutions. But hold fire." Elizabeth's fingers flew over her controls. Lines of red appeared on the screen. Each line showed where a railgun slug or torpedo would hit. "Solutions ready, Captain. We can take out their engines in one volley, or their bridges, or their reactors." John nodded. "Keep them locked. We wait." Imperial ships stayed high, out of range of the colony's remaining guns. They did not rush. They wanted to show power. They wanted the galaxy to see humans break. On the bridge, Specialist Maria Lopez spoke quietly. "Sir, we can stop this. One strike and—" "No," John said, "not yet. If we show ourselves now, they learn our tricks too soon. We need them blind a little longer." Laura stepped closer. "The colony is taking heavy damage. Power plants are failing. Hospitals are full." John looked at her. His eyes were hard. "I know, and it hurts, but this is how we win the bigger war. We let them think they have won here, then we hit them where it really hurts." Hours passed. The dreadnoughts kept firing. Smoke rose from the planet in thick black columns. The Imperial commander laughed over the open channel. "See, little mammals? This is what happens when you defy the Empire." They thought it was over. But the Liberty was still there, invisible, watching every move, recording shield modulations, counting how many shots each dreadnought could fire before needing to recharge, noting which ships had weak points in their armor, learning the commander's name, Lord Cale Vorn, and his habit of keeping his flagship's hangar doors open during bombardments. Elizabeth whispered to William. "They are sloppy, overconfident. They do not even scan for cloaked ships." William nodded, because they think no one can hide from them. Night fell on New Hope. The firing slowed. The dreadnoughts formed a loose circle above the planet. Their crews rested. They believed the fight was finished. The colony was broken. Tomorrow they would land troops and claim the world. On the Liberty, John gathered his senior officers in the briefing room. The air felt heavy. "We have seen enough," he said. "Tomorrow they will try to land. Not to save the colony. They have already lost too much, but to teach the Empire a lesson they will never forget." Laura asked, "What is the plan, Captain?" John pointed to the holomap. "We wait until the first landing ships launch. When those small craft drop out of the hangars, we strike the flagship. One clean hit to its reactor. It will look like an accident at first, maybe a power surge, maybe friendly fire. They will argue among themselves. While they argue, we hit another ship, then another. Quick, silent, gone." William smiled for the first time in days. "They will think their own ships are turning on each other." "Exactly," John said. "Confusion is our ally. Fear is our weapon." Elizabeth looked at the map. "And if they spot us?" John met her eyes. "Then we fight. But they will not spot us. Not until it is too late." The meeting ended. The crew returned to stations. The Liberty waited in the dark. Engines cold, weapons hot. Below, on New Hope, fires still burned. People helped the wounded. Children slept in shelters, not knowing if they would see morning. Governor Ruiz walked among them. She spoke words of hope, even as tears ran down her face. Above, the Imperial dreadnoughts floated like silent giants. Their lights glowed softly. Their captains drank and laughed. They planned parades for their victory. None of them looked for the small black ship that hung only a few thousand kilometers away. None of them felt the cold eyes watching them. None of them knew that tomorrow everything would change. The storm was gathering. Morning came to New Hope. The sky was gray with smoke. Fire still burned in the distance. The colony was quiet now. No more defense guns fired. The people hid in shelters and waited. Above the planet, the 5 Imperial dreadnoughts hung like sharp knives. Their crystal hulls caught the weak sunlight. A flagship, Indomitable Glory, was the biggest. Lord Cale Vorn stood on its bridge. He wore a tall black uniform with gold lines. He smiled as he looked at the damage reports from the surface. "Prepare the landing craft," he ordered. "We take this world today. No more games." His officers nodded. Hangar doors opened on all 5 ships. Small landing shuttles slid out one by one. They carried troops in heavy armor. The shuttles formed neat lines and started to drop toward the planet. On the Liberty, Captain John Hayes watched every move. The black ship floated close, only 4,000 kilometers from the flagship. It stayed cloaked. No light, no heat, no sound. "Targets locked?" John asked. Ensign Elizabeth Moore answered fast. "Yes, sir. Flagship reactor core is in our crosshairs. Railguns charged, torpedoes ready. We can fire in sequence. First the reactor, then the bridge if needed." Commander Laura Bennett stood beside John. "The shuttles are halfway down. If we wait too long, troops will reach the ground." John took a slow breath. "We wait until the last shuttle clears the hangar. Maximum confusion. They must think something went wrong inside their own ship." The seconds ticked by. Everyone on the Liberty Bridge held their breath. Screens showed the Imperial shuttles dropping lower. The dreadnoughts stayed still, shields down to save power during landing. The last shuttle left the Indomitable Glory's hangar. "Now," John said. Elizabeth pressed the fire button. Nothing flashed. No bright beams. No loud explosions outside. The Liberty's railguns were silent killers. They shot long metal slugs at speeds close to light. The slugs crossed the distance in a blink. The first slug hit the Indomitable Glory's lower hull. It punched through the armor, like a hot needle through cloth. No explosion on impact. The slug kept going inside. It tore through decks, past crew quarters, straight to the main reactor. A second later, the second slug followed, then a third. Inside the flagship, alarms screamed. Red lights filled every corridor. Crew ran to stations. Engineers shouted that the reactor was breached. Containment failed. Power surged wild. Lord Kael'Vorn turned to his tactical officer. "What is happening? Report." Before anyone could answer, the reactor detonated. A white flash bloomed inside the ship. The explosion ripped the Indomitable Glory in half. The front part spun away slowly. The back part burst into pieces. Fire and gas sprayed into space. Shrapnel flew in all directions. Some pieces hit nearby shuttles. 2 shuttles exploded in bright fireballs. The other 4 dreadnoughts froze. Their captains stared at their screens. No enemy ship showed up. No attack warning. Just their flagship gone in seconds. "Friendly fire?" one captain asked over the command channel. "Impossible," another answered. "Our guns were cold." "Sabotage?" a third said. Panic started. On the Liberty, John gave the next order. "Target the second dreadnought. Same spot. Reactor. Fire." Elizabeth fired again. 2 more silent slugs crossed the void. They found the weak point on the second ship. Another internal explosion. Another bright flash. The ship broke apart. Crew screams filled the open channels for a moment, then silence. The remaining 3 dreadnoughts turned their guns in every direction. They fired wild shots into empty space. Beams cut through nothing. Missiles launched at shadows. Fighters scrambled out of hangars, looking for a target they could not see. "They are blind," William Carter said from engineering. His voice shook with excitement. "They have no idea where we are." John kept his voice steady. "Hit the third one. Quick." Another salvo. Another dreadnought died the same way. The explosion lit up the sky over New Hope. People in the shelters looked up through small windows. They saw fire in space. They dared to hope. The last 2 Imperial ships tried to run. Their engines flared. They turned away from the planet. But it was too late. Elizabeth fired one last time. The 4th dreadnought took a slug to its engines. It lost power and drifted. The 5th tried to raise shields, but the hit came too fast. Its reactor went critical. A final explosion sent waves of heat across space. In less than 5 minutes, 5 mighty dreadnoughts became floating scrap. The Liberty stayed cloaked. It moved slowly away from the wreck field. No one chased it. No one even saw it. On the bridge, the crew was quiet at first. Then cheers broke out. Daniel Brooks laughed loud from his station. Maria Lopez wiped tears from her eyes. Elizabeth Moore stared at her hands like she could not believe what she had done. John raised a hand for silence. "We did what we had to, but this is only the start. They will come looking now. Bigger fleets, better sensors. We must be smarter." Laura looked at the main screen. Pieces of the Indomitable Glory still burned. "They will blame each other. Internal failure, mutiny, anything but us." John nodded. "Let them. Every hour they argue is an hour we gain." Down on New Hope, people came out of shelters. They looked up at the sky. Fires still burned on the surface, but the sky was clear of enemy ships. Governor Elena Ruiz stepped outside her command center. She saw the distant flashes fade. She spoke into her radio. "Everyone, I think the worst is over. Help the wounded. We are still here." No one knew who had saved them, not yet. But word would spread. A ghost ship, a silent killer, humans who struck from nowhere. Back in Imperial space, reports flew to the capital. Emperor Valthor received the news in his throne room. His face turned dark. 5 dreadnoughts, gone. No enemy in sight. How? His advisors had no answer. They showed sensor logs. Empty space. No ships, no traces. Valthor stood up. Find them. Send every ship. Hunt this thing. Bring me its captain's head. Across the Empire, orders went out. Fleets mobilized. Scouts searched. But the Liberty was already far away. It slipped into deep space, cloaked, quiet, waiting for the next move. The Empire thought it had lost to bad luck, to mistakes. But they had not seen the beginning. The true threat was already on the move. 2 ghosts. They still did not know the truth. A human warship had been there all along, watching, learning, striking, and it was only the beginning. Emperor Valthor sat in his huge throne room on the capital world of Zorath Prime. The room had tall black pillars and walls covered in glowing crystals. Servants stood silent. Advisors waited with bowed heads. Valthor's face was red with anger. He held a data tablet that showed the battle report from New Hope. 5 dreadnoughts lost. No enemy ship found. No wreckage from attackers. Nothing. How? He shouted. His voice echoed off the walls. How does a whole battle group vanish without a fight? One advisor stepped forward. He was thin and nervous. Your Majesty, the logs show no external fire. The explosion started inside the ships. We think reactor failures, all at once. Valthor threw the tablet. It broke against the floor. Reactor failures on 5 ships at the same moment? Do you think I am a fool? This is no accident. Someone did this. Find them. Orders flew across the Empire. Fleets left their stations. Thousands of ships began the hunt. Scouts searched every system near New Hope. Heavy cruisers swept asteroid fields. Sensor nets stretched across light years. Fighters flew in tight formations. Probes scanned for any sign of cloaked vessels. But the Liberty was gone. It had slipped away during the chaos. Now it moved through empty space far from the search zones. Captain John Hayes let his crew rest for 1 day. Then he called them together. We hurt them, John said in the briefing room. But they will come back harder. We cannot hide forever. We need to hit them where it hurts most. Commander Laura Bennett looked at the map. Their main shipyard is at Kareth Prime. It builds half their dreadnoughts. If we damage that, their fleet cannot grow. Lieutenant William Carter nodded. It is deep in Imperial space. Heavy defenses. Patrols everywhere. But if we get inside cloaked, we can plant charges on the unfinished ships. Ensign Elizabeth Moore smiled, like rats in their walls. John looked around the table. It is dangerous. If we are caught, we die. But if we succeed, the Empire loses years of building power. Who is with me? Every hand went up. The Liberty turned toward Kareth Prime. It took 12 days at full silent speed. The ship avoided main lanes. It drifted past sensor buoys without a whisper. When patrols came close, the crew shut down everything except life support. They waited in cold and dark until the danger passed. On the 15th day, they reached the edge of the Kareth system. The shipyard was huge. Giant rings of metal floated around a blue gas giant. Scaffolds held half-built dreadnoughts. Thousands of workers in suits moved like ants. Cranes lifted heavy plates. Welding sparks lit the dark. John studied the scans. There are patrol ships, 20 cruisers, fighter wings on constant launch. But the yard has blind spots near the construction arms. We can slip in there. The plan was simple. Small teams would leave in stealth pods. Each pod carried explosives. The The teams would attach the charges to reactor frames on unfinished ships. Then they would return. A Liberty would wait outside and cover their escape. 4 teams went out. Daniel Brooks led one. Maria Lopez led another. 2 more officers took the rest. The pods were tiny, barely bigger than a person. They drifted slowly toward the yard. No engines, just cold gas jets for small corrections. The teams reached the scaffolds. They moved carefully. Magnetic boots held them to the metal. They planted charges in hidden places. Small red lights blinked once, then went dark. Time to go off together. One team almost got caught. A worker in a suit floated too close. Daniel froze. The worker paused, looked around, then moved on. Daniel let out a slow breath. All teams returned. The pods slipped back to the Liberty. No alarms sounded. No one noticed. John waited until the yard was quiet. Night shift. Fewer eyes. Detonate, he said. Elizabeth pressed the button. A chain of explosions began. First, one unfinished dreadnought lit up inside. Its reactor frame cracked. Fire spread fast. The whole ship broke apart. Metal pieces flew outward. They hit nearby scaffolds. Then another, and another. 4 big hulls exploded one after the other. The blasts tore through the yard. Cranes fell. Construction rings bent and snapped. Fuel tanks ruptured. Secondary explosions rolled like thunder across the system. The yard became a storm of fire and debris. Half-built ships drifted broken. Workers in suits tried to escape. Some made it to escape pods. Many did not. Patrol cruisers rushed in. They fired at shadows. They tried to stop the spreading damage, but it was too late. The main assembly ring collapsed. Thousands of tons of metal fell toward the gas giant. The yard lost more than a third of its building capacity in 1 hour. Imperial commanders screamed over channels. "What is attacking us? Where are the enemies?" No answer came. Sensors showed nothing. Empty space. Ghost explosions. On the Liberty, the crew watched the fire from a safe distance. They stayed cloaked. They moved away slowly. Laura turned to John. "They will be angry now. Really angry." John nodded. "Good. Angry people make mistakes." Word of the attack reached Valthor fast. He broke a table with his fist. "A shipyard, our heart of war, destroyed by nothing." He ordered more ships. He doubled patrols. He sent spies to human worlds. He offered rewards for any information on the ghost ship. Crews grew nervous. Whispers spread through the fleet. Some said it was a new weapon. Others said it was a curse. A few started to fear the dark between stars. The Liberty kept moving. It struck small targets now. A fuel depot here. A relay station there. Always quick. Always gone before help arrived. Each hit made the Empire weaker. Each hit made humans stronger in secret. One night, John stood alone on the bridge. Stars filled the view screen. He thought about New Hope. About the people who died before the first strike. About the ones who lived because of it. Laura walked up beside him. "You okay, Captain?" John looked at her. "We are winning small battles, but the war is not over. They still think they are the strongest." She put a hand on his shoulder. "They will learn. One day soon." John smiled a little. "Yes, one day." The Empire hunted shadows. They searched every corner of space. They found nothing. The Liberty waited in the dark, ready for the next move. The reckoning had begun, and the greatest error was still ahead. The Imperial capital world, Zorath Prime, looked peaceful from space. Tall towers reached into the clouds. Lights glowed in every window. Ships moved in neat lines around the planet. The Empire still ruled, but fear had started to spread. Crews whispered in dark corners. Officers checked sensors twice. No one felt safe anymore. Emperor Valthor refused to show weakness. He called his remaining fleet to the home system. Hundreds of dreadnoughts formed a giant sphere around the planet. Thousands of fighters patrolled the gaps. Shields overlapped in layers. Every gun pointed outward. Valthor stood on his palace balcony and looked up at the stars. He spoke to his people on every screen. "We face a hidden enemy," he said. "But we are the Empire. We are unbreakable. This ghost will show itself, and when it does, we will crush it." The words sounded strong, but many listeners felt doubt. Far away, the Liberty gathered friends. Other human stealth ships arrived one by one. They had waited in deep space for this moment. Some came from hidden shipyards on Earth, others from secret bases on distant moons. 30 ships in total, all black, all silent, all deadly. Captain John Hayes met their captains on a secure channel. Faces appeared on small screens, men and women with tired eyes but firm looks. "We have hurt them," John said. "Now we finish it. One battle, above Zorath Prime. We strike together. We end their pride." A woman captain named Rachel Torres spoke first. "Our weapons are ready. Railguns, torpedoes, point defense. We coordinate with quantum links. They cannot jam us." Another captain, William Grant, added, "We appear for seconds only. Hit hard, vanish, repeat." John nodded. "The Empire expects a fleet. They will see one, but not the kind they know." The human ships moved as one. They approached Zorath Prime from different directions, cloaked, slow, patient. They slipped past outer patrols. They drifted through fighter screens. No one noticed. On the Imperial flagship, Supreme Commander Darius Kane watched his screens. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. "Increase scans," he ordered. "Active sweeps, every frequency." Sensors lit up. Waves of energy rolled out. They found nothing. Kane relaxed a little. "False alarm," he said. "They are gone." That was when the humans struck. The Liberty appeared first, right in the center of the sphere. Its cloak dropped for 3 seconds. Railguns fired. Slugs hit the nearest dreadnoughts. Holes opened in armor. Explosions followed inside. At the same moment, 20 other human ships decloaked in different spots. They fired together. Precise. Fast. Torpedoes raced to weak points. Lasers cut through shields. Dreadnoughts died before they could turn. Panic filled Imperial channels. Contacts everywhere. Shields failing. Fire at anything. Imperial guns roared. Beams and missiles flew in every direction. But the humans were already gone. Cloaks snapped back on. Ships vanished. Then they appeared again somewhere else. Another volley. Another group of dreadnoughts broke apart. Commander Laura Bennett stood on the Liberty Bridge. "They cannot track us. Their sensors are too slow." John watched the battle unfold. "Keep the pressure. Hit the command ships." Elizabeth Moore locked targets. Firing. More explosions. The Imperial sphere started to break. Ships tried to form new lines, but every time they grouped, humans hit from inside. Small black shapes darted, like fish among sharks. They bit, they fled, they bit again. Fighters launched in waves. They searched for targets. Human point defense lasers shredded them. Debris filled space. Pieces of crystal hulls floated everywhere. Emperor Valthor watched from his palace. Screens showed his fleet dying. One by one, he shouted orders. "All ships, concentrate fire. Find the source." But there was no single source. Humans were everywhere and nowhere. On the Liberty, John opened a channel. It went to every Imperial ship. His voice was calm. "This is Captain John Hayes of the human fleet. You thought we were weak. You thought we were nothing. You bombed our colonies. You laughed at our people. That ends today." He paused. "You never noticed us. That was your greatest error." The channel cut off. The battle continued for another hour. Imperial ships fought hard. Some got lucky hits. One human ship took damage and had to pull back. but most stayed hidden. They struck again and again. In the end, the Imperial sphere collapsed. Burning hulks drifted around Zorath Prime. The planet's defense grid tried to fire upward. Human ships cut its power lines from close range. The guns went silent. Valthor stood alone in his throne room. Guards waited outside. He looked at the last screen. It showed the Liberty hanging above the capital. Not cloaked anymore, just there, quiet, waiting. He opened a channel. His voice shook. "Humans, we surrender. The Empire asks for terms." John appeared on the screen. His face was tired, but steady. "No conquest," he said. "No occupation. Your worlds stay yours, but the war ends. You leave human space. You never return. You sign a treaty, or we finish what we started." Valthor stared for a long time. Then he bowed his head. "We accept." The treaty was signed 2 days later, on a neutral moon. Imperial leaders came in fear. Human captains came in silence. Words were spoken. Hands were shaken. The Empire promised peace. News spread across the galaxy. Worlds that had lived under Imperial rule cheered. Some joined the humans in quiet thanks. Others watched and learned. The Liberty and its sister ships returned to human space. They did not celebrate with parades. They slipped back into shadows, ready if needed again. On the bridge, John stood with his crew. Stars moved past the view screen. Laura smiled. "We did it." John looked at her. "We survived. That is enough." Elizabeth laughed softly. "They will tell stories about us for centuries. The Ghost Fleet, the silent ones." William added, "The ones they never noticed." John turned to the stars. "Let them remember, and let them fear the dark a little more." The human warship faded into the black once more. The Empire had made its greatest error. They had looked at humans and seen nothing. But the nothing had teeth, and it had bitten hard.